about those A-plus trades. If it's your A-plus and you don't have an A-plus day on it, then my focus is what did I do wrong, whether you're up on the stock or not. So I might be up on ATVI today, but that is the thing that will haunt me on the train, is that I should have done so much better with that one. Welcome, guys.
Yeah, same thing for me on that Tesla. I was looking back at it, and before when I was trading Tesla and it was kind of making moves up every day, I would be getting long on the open if it was holding a level that I wanted it to hold. Versus today, I wanted to see it like fail break that 286 level off the open. So, I could have had like double the size that I did on this move up today. And then once again, when it goes and tests that 284 earlier off that down move, I kind of figured that was going to be the bottom. I had that idea in place, but I was taking like half the size that I normally would because I just didn't have the risk appetite this morning. And this Tesla move, I don't know where it's going today. I think we could get that 289 breakout later on, and maybe we get that move to 293, 294. But yeah, I mean, should be up like 2 or 3 times what I'm up on Tesla today. Same thing for you on Activision.
You have to be self-critical a lot of times when that's the case. I think it behooves us to be self-critical, whether you're up or not. You always have to ask yourself, like, what should I have done? Oh, I have to get a fill. There we go. I'm only in 2 positions. I have Activision. You would have heard Brad talk about. Then I have Microsoft from earlier today. You were just mentioning Tesla, but before we go to Brendan, which I believe we're going to in just a quick second, I do have one long that worked on Microsoft, and it was not 343. I'm kind of long when it broke out the morning range there, so I'm holding the 45 long. It should have been down around 43. I did lose on that trade initially and didn't get right back into it. But it is working. The market is green. We've switched it to 2 bulls, so it should be a nice little afternoon of worth of trade. Lots of things making some potential squeezes as well.
All right, let's get into everything else that's moving around here this afternoon as far as what you need to know. I'm just going to bring up that ATVI news once again for us this afternoon. It looks like the UK is going to pass on extending that probe into the deal. That was the move to the upside anyways for Activision. That's how the overall board is setting up here as we head into the afternoon. NASDAQ Composite and the 100 Tech in charge, 0.83, 0.77 for both to the upside. Russell 2000 was relatively strong back on Friday. If you remember, continues that way today. They're 1.3 to the upside. The Dow 0.18, 0.34 there for the S&P 500 overall. It's been a slow grind, but hey, nice to see the market continuing on this march to the upside. It has been tech leading the way, continues to be the NASDAQ in general. We've talked in depth about this over the past few weeks, but the UK coming out over lunch saying they're most likely going to pass on extending the probe into this ATVI deal. So that led to the move back to the upside. It is kind of slowing down now as far as volume is concerned and as far as momentum is concerned, but still worth a note there for Activision and Microsoft coming off that deletion that we discussed back on Friday from the NASDAQ 100. ATVI was deleted. If you're with us this morning, we were discussing a number of things. Tesla, one of those. We get word over the weekend. Tesla finally rolls out Cybertruck #1 officially comes off the production line in Texas. So the beginning officially of production for the Cybertruck. Danielle Shea going to come up in about an hour or so. We'll get her thoughts on not only that event, but obviously earnings to come coming up this week, Netflix to come this week, Microsoft just around the corner as well. We'll talk to her about all 3 of those and more. Tesla, guys, though, it tried initially. It ends up being a bit of a tricky trade today.
Yeah, I'd say it was a little bit of a tricky trade. I'm frustrated because, Max is going to show you the 88 trade, so I think that's where the bread was buttered this morning, for lack of a better term. You'd have heard me in the morning show saying I didn't want the initial break, like that right away 930, 288. You get the pre-market high break. It was above 85 the previous top, so I was looking long. There wasn't an issue with looking long on the stock, but I just didn't want the initial break. I wanted 290, thinking it was an 85 kind of dip play. That never happened at the open, so I just took the 90 break. That was good. I then tried a kind of a sloppy reload of it on the way back in instead of letting it bounce, and that didn't really last very long. So I had 2 swings at it at 1 price and went 1 for 2 on Tesla, and neither one of them, when you look back at the trade, it's very easy to say, well, I just had the wrong price, right? Like 290, sure it worked, but that's because it was already an upward move. So there was no reason for that dip, which was not a significant level to hold. If you look at where it did dip, the breakout at 88, it held a higher low there, retested the high and failed it. But at least that ended up being a key price area throughout the rest of the day. This 88 level that we're kind of trading at right now, that's held up. Like it was resistance when it broke down. It resisted it during lunchtime. We'll see if it resists it again. So sometimes you get anchored to round numbers. I did it 290. If I had left it at the one trade, it would have been fine, but I decided to go back to that well again. So that's Tesla. I love the fact it's holding up 2%. The market's grinding higher. This above VWAP. If it can hold on to this 88 level, maybe we do get a chance to retest these high backs.
Yeah, what I was thinking on this morning is if you can't give up these pre-market lows, which aren't even very far from where we were trading at when we opened, and you can't even get below that 286 price, there's only one place that this can go. So that 288 break was basically the next level. I mean, you're not just taking random prices usually on Tesla because that doesn't really play out so well. You have to find the size, and the size is always at those even levels. So yeah, that 288 break, obviously great. I think the better trade, honestly, today was the 284 hold here. Based on the way that I trade and how I've been trading Tesla recently, this 284 really lined up with how I've been trading it. I let it break a key level and then go an extra $1 or $2, and then you can kind of get that reversal trade. And I mean, I didn't think that we were necessarily going all the way back to the high here, but it gave you the chance to add on 285 and never broke your average price back to the downside. So great trade on the reversal. Looks like it wants to take out 289 now. Do I think that 289 as a kind of a random level is a breakout level right now? No, I don't think so. Maybe above 290 again today. I think you'd probably want to get a dip on the trend if you want to get in on Tesla today. I feel like taking a breakout right now is probably not the way to structure it.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like, is it going to give you some kind of consolidation dip? That makes a heck of a lot more sense than trying to fight breakouts late in the session if the market doesn't want to take out highs.
I was still watching this EV Go just pop back up on some volume there. Failed up at just before 450 after it tagged it early on this morning as well. Up on a new charging station deal with the state of Ohio. Yeah, this was the overall market taking out highs there just as we came on at 2 o'clock. More on that Microsoft ATVI deal. I was just reading through that note once again. Essentially, the Court of Appeal saying that they're going to get a 2-month window here. Microsoft is going to get a 2-month window from this UK probe to get this deal done. As we all know, guys, the deadline to get said deal done is tomorrow. So maybe they're saying, hurry up and do this already so we can get on with life and not have to look into it anymore. I mean, it seems like the UK wants them to just close this deal without actually saying, yeah, it's fine.
You know, if that's what happens, I'm not going to pretend that I've traded buyouts for a long time. So I have some idea how deal structure works and how these things usually play out. But I have no idea if they try to close this without the UK, just say, screw it, we don't care what the UK says about it. I can imagine there's some lawyers that are going to get paid if that's the case. Another good reason why, if you are going to go into law, maybe having specialty is a good thing. And if it's securities, and there's a lot of money to be made in things like this. So I made money on ATVI today, but as I said to you, this should have been like a month maker kind of situation because I opened up saying short 94, I scalped it a few times, then was waiting around for the open for that same fill to come back in. So I never did better than like 15 cents. It looks really, really bad, and it kind of is. But this is the pre-market. That's the context. This is a pre-market, never going to be all in. It's never going to be the same size, but okay, that's not exactly true. At one point, I was trying to get the same size on the short, but that was close to the open. It never filled. So once we got down underneath 93, I looked to the next even dollar, which was 93 for the short. We were shorting it at 90s into 50s, at 90s into 80s and 75, and then back and forth. It started to break the 93 even. So then I was shorting it. Every time we get back underneath, I just short right at the even, giving it the 10 cents. I was scalping the crap out of it. When the news happened about the UK, I was just going to get stopped out at that local high anyways. This is why you always trade with an out, everybody, because if you're shorting off of this, I can zoom in so you can see a bit closer. When you're shorting off a level like this, I have no problem. Get out for a tight stop. Let yourself win. Get out for a tight stop. get back in, get out for a tight stop, get back in, take the win, get back in, take the win, win, get out for your stop. Do not average in, average in, average in, average in, average in, and then lose your entire day, month, week. I was telling Max I traded the long after the news pretty horribly because I entered this above 40. I dip bought at 30. I was not aggressive enough in taking out shares. Every time I was getting out, I'm holding on to like 75% of the position. Like I'm not really taking profit for 15 to 20 cents in here like I was doing when it was trading underneath 93. I'm thinking move to 94. It never happened. So when it pulled back into 93 even, and I had my chance to just jam long, I wasn't really able to. I ended up with an average price of 93.18. Now it's 12 because of my last entry here. But at a 93.18 long as it went into 93. That should have been under 10. And if that was under 10, then this is like a much better trade in 93.50 because I have all my shares in here at the bottom without hanging on to some at 30. The only good thing was I didn't really add to it on the way down. Like I knew I had a bad price here, but I wasn't in a ton. All you can do in that situation, I didn't have a reason to be out of the long, but don't add to it on the way down. Let it do the dip and then get your shares in. Because it's so easy, like, damn it, I shouldn't be in this. Need my average in, need my average in. No, let it bounce, then jam here on the way back up. If we can hold higher lows, I still think there's a chance at 94. If we get any kind of weird 94 squeeze break, I'm shorting the living you-know-what out of this in front of 95. But I don't think that happens today.
Yeah, I actually did take a couple of entries on ATVI after that news came out, figuring, it could go to 94 there. I'm basically I got the same price twice, actually, this 28 price. Again, same thing, didn't take enough profit early, and now you're taking profit at lower spots because, it did this big dip down, and now you got to take profit out. So, yeah, I'm sitting in a few shares of ATVI, nothing crazy on this one. If we get the squeeze to 94, we get it. Kind of seeming low probability at this point, but anything is possible. And then over to Microsoft, we talked about this 343, both Neil and I this morning. 343 dip was basically, it does go 80 cents here, but goes right back up, holds it on the bid, on the breakout, and then you're holding that 343 all the way to right now high of day 346. So a bit of a mistrade there for me. This is kind of how I like to execute around these even dollars. Probably would have gotten stopped out once here when it does the dip down, but then you just get right back in when it gets back above that 343 and then trends all the way up. So yeah, great opportunities on both Microsoft and ATVI today. Only have fills on one of those.
Just looking into, Neil, you're asking about that, well, it's a SPAC, never mind. It's FACT, fact. Fact, this is a SPAC. Halted right now on a move to the upside, probably a deal for that one. We'll take a look, keep that in mind. Nvidia was back to the upside ever so slightly this morning on, hey, yet another AI-related upgrade this morning. It was Goldman Sachs, which is double checking. Still positive here, 0.9 for Nvidia, but a bit of a sideways choppy day for Nvidia.
Yeah, you know what? I'll be at least somewhat proud. I didn't trade Nvidia today. I decided that it made a little bit more sense on AMD, so I kind of stuck with AMD and won on AMD. And you can't just only trade the one that you normally do. Sometimes you have to go to where the fill makes more sense. It would have been nice if I had looked at something well in front of 450. Like if for whatever reason, just like Friday's low, 453, there's your bounce play in NVIDIA. I think 450 is kind of where I would have been looking for a bounce. A little bit tighter to that if it had bounced off there. I wasn't really thinking 465 short. It would be easy to look back and say, yeah, but look what happened on Friday. Pre-market, this is 465, 465 was resistance, just short 465. I get it. However, when I looked at AMD and 117, this is what 117 looked like on AMD. There's your resistance, false break Friday, fail underneath. Sorry, this is 117 here, fail underneath, and then look for the short at 117. So I opted to trade AMD, even though it's not usually the big cap, faster moving chip name that I would play. At the open, I think if you stretched out in front of it, which is not my style, you could have been in the short, just sitting in it. That's not my look. I'm looking for a pop into 117. Ideally, a pop in here that fails a 117 break, doesn't get through this local high at 117.5, and then you're shorting around 117 into that half. It was $1 away from this high and midway in that range. It never gave me that short, but it did the move in the afternoon. So it broke, failed this previous top, consolidate underneath. They short the next consolidation down. It got to 116. I did hold on to 20% for the home run to VWAP, and that stopped out. So I traded one price, one setup, one notion on AMD today, and that's what you want to have happen. So I'm happy with AMD. I don't think that the only thing I could have done differently with AMD would be maybe not hold the entire, I could have gotten this out, maybe is it consolidated down here and save myself 40 or 50 cents in the last 20%, but I'm not going to get another entry outside of shorting at 117 in that price. It looks like a bit of a long. The longer it holds 117 here, you could convince me that we should be looking for longs, but I'd like to see it take out that top first.
Yeah, that Nvidia, I actually like the short of 462, but I think it took that out pre-market. Yes, it did. Took it out pre-market, and then you're trading 464, and I really have no setup for that. I was looking at it at 465 as it was coming up there, and I think I said, this might be a good breakout, but it's looking kind of sketchy in this spot. Didn't even consider the idea that maybe you could just short it back down into some levels that you like it better at. And yeah, that 465 short was crazy. Looked back, and I could hardly believe that it was trading at 454, right? What is that, 5 minutes after being at 465? But yeah, that 462 area is kind of where it rolled over previously. I don't know. I think it seems like a bit of an inside day on NVIDIA, so probably won't be touching it in the afternoon show, but gave you some opportunities on the double bottom here at 453. It's just not a level for me, really. That's not a price that I have any kind of opinion of, so not really willing to trade it. I was willing to go long at 450, but that was just about it on NVIDIA. If we break 465 today, I mean, the market is at highs right now, and NVIDIA is not at the highs, so really not expecting much more from NVIDIA today, but good opportunities in a couple of spots if those were the ones that you were looking at.
This March higher continuing. Unfortunately, this one did not play along today. Wow, what a move. As soon as the market opened, we go from 40 bucks straight to 38 in, this is a 3-minute chart. So 6 minutes, 2 candles it took to get right back to where we were. Back on Friday, there wasn't much liquidity, there wasn't much volume in the pre-market. And this is why we like to see volume in the pre-market. It was up on an upgrade today for Chewy. And as soon as the market opens, there's no bids to support it, guys.
Sometimes this is if you were along this one, it obviously sucks, but this is one of those, when we went over this stock in the morning, I'm always really happy. Sometimes the best trade you make is no trade at all, or I'm not interested in the stock unless X happens, it doesn't happen, you're not looking for it. It's just, there was not enough volume on the move, and when we pulled it out, this is what you wanted to see. Like, you have 40, above 40 even, you had 40 and a quarter, you still had some overhead resistance at that price, and on the daily chart, 41.5 looks like the much better breakout, maybe even 42. On the daily charts, you had 2 things that looked much better than just taking a 40 break or being long up at that top on low volume. And that was it taking out the 40 quarter, making that next move up, or actually giving you the trade at 41.50 or 42. That was the plan of action. Neither one of those 2 things happened. There was no trade to be had. You could take a step further and maybe be short a stock like this. I wouldn't necessarily argue with, oh, but if you just shorted it at the open, breaking that consolidation and give it to the 40.25, that's all pure hindsight. I think the only trade I was looking for was the breakout on Chewy, but it never happened. So you're not in it. I don't really see a trade this afternoon. It's way too sideways with not a lot of volume. And there's someone monkeying around on the bid here underneath 38. There's like 25,000 shares just sitting down here at 37.90 now that I look at it. Why someone's playing around with that in such a tight range when there's no more than like a few hundred shares on each level. I tend not to want to mess around with that, so I'm going to stay away from Chewy. It was a good opportunity here not to get fixated on a stock that was gapping up with news and a short interest and force the trade to the long side. It never set up. You didn't have to take it.
Yeah, I think wow was all I could say when I looked up. Chewy was still on my trade ideas charts up there at like 9:30 35, and I was like, there's no way that it just did that move down when we were talking about the potential kind of 40 long area. But yeah, nasty move down, just taking that breakdown. But as you say, like, how would you know to do that? I think, you know, lucky trade if you wanted to short it today.
Yep.
But a really great one, obviously.
All right, we were talking about Netflix coming up this week as far as earnings on Thursday, in fact. After the close, we'll get into that as we get closer and later into the week. But there was a note, if you remember, I think it was Friday afternoon, we were talking a little bit about this actor strike and how it was going to negatively impact some of these streaming names. You saw Paramount come out this morning and say they were looking to try and renegotiate some debt with creditors because of the lack of new signups that they've had. So Paramount, I can show you the chart here, downside today, right out of the gate, just got absolutely flushed from 1575, 1580 down to 1520. We're trying to bounce right now. WBD, very similar, very light volume on Warner Brothers today. Netflix, though, held up a little bit better than most, but I mean, this was all pre-market, and then we just go sideways for most of the day here, guys. Hugging 450. Coming up on Thursday, we get earnings from Netflix.
Just to get things out of the way here, if you ever make a keystroke error, which it's my first day back from a week of vacation, that's not an excuse, but I made a keystroke error today. It looks like I should have just, you had the long, it was a winner on Netflix, you should have just held on to the winner. No, no, no. I was looking at Netflix, I had it up to set up where I wanted the long. At the same time, I was trading Tesla that morning. In the morning and was looking for an entry into Tesla. I was clicked on the wrong level too, and I punched long in Netflix. I had no intention of being long at that price, so I got in. I got out basically flat. Like, it kind of overlaps there, but I paid just a little spread action on Netflix, which was fortunate. I missed out on the trade in Tesla while it happened, but that's what you should do. It's so easy to go back, but if you would just, hey man, you're in the long, just give it back into 451, and you're long in front of it, it ends up holding and goes like $4. So yeah, okay, but that was never part of your plan. You don't make a trade up in hindsight. Like, either you meant to take the trade, you didn't. If you didn't, just get out of it. You know, thankfully I was able to dodge that bullet. It ended up being a good long. You're back underneath 450, unfortunately, for Netflix. This is what this looks like on the daily. You've got a false breakout above 52. Then you have another one today where it tried to get above that 452 and another false break and back underneath. So lower highs, two big false breakouts on the daily chart. Not a great looking sign for the short term. This feels like, with the market at highs, I know it's up 1.5%, but you know, if you kind of throw out what happened right away, this is trading at the bottom end of its range for the afternoon, whereas the market is pressing the highs as we speak. Market turns around, Netflix is a breakdown underneath 450 with room down to 442. So I'm looking for an opportunity to short this name in the afternoon if we can even get it, but not while the market is pressing toward Friday's highs.
Pretty bearish that Netflix is kind of testing these lows while the market is going directly upwards on the NASDAQ. But that 450 level, it just keeps coming into play on Netflix. The first time I did have it, I was trying to find that day, couldn't find it on these charts, but it went like $1 and then reversed. Today it goes 7, and this is kind of what we were talking about when you trade Netflix. You need to get this $7 move out of it because the risk is so high. You know, you're probably giving it $1.50 to maybe $2 to get that $7 trade, but you know, 450, kind of an obvious level. I'm sure there was size there. I'm sure you could have structured a breakout today. I just didn't really have it on my radar, but I think, you know, 465 is going to be what we're looking at on Thursday morning after earnings, assuming the earnings are good. If they're not, I mean, we got a long way to fall on Netflix. We've come very far off the bottom of these like 162s.
And if you look at the Huadunk candles,
Yeah.
those were back-to-back earnings, Huadunks to the downside, which it obviously has not had one. It's been all to the upside since those bottoms. If you were to have a significant miss, I know people have been buying the dips like crazy, but yeah, it could get a little bit dicey. It's not exactly the best look going into earnings the way it rejected it there. I just one thing, because I want to get to like the market's at highs of the day. We're going to jump to Apple for a quick second, mostly because CompSRX just said Apple, what is thy bidding, my master? And coincidentally enough, I just finished a Star Wars novel with the Darth Plagueis one, which had the Emperor in it. So what is thy bidding is to go up. It's a monster. I didn't have a trade on it, even though I have a line in at the $3 trillion mark, and I suppose had I been paying more attention to this in particular, the $3 trillion market cap level for Apple, resistance all late, pretty much the entire week last week. It sat with $3 trillion as resistance. It then gapped right back to that level today and just simply broke out above it. That shouldn't have been that complicated, but I wasn't looking at that line. You're now back at the highs. I think 195 is perfectly reasonable if this market wants to keep going. This is 195 on the daily. The exact high, I'd probably defer to, I'll look at another chart to see if that, it looks, I think it's like 195 change. But there was like a wick high.
194.50.
Is it? Oh, it's not even 95. Okay, 194.50 looks like the top. But at 195, I still think would remain that target.
Yeah.
There is not a red candle on my 15-minute until you go back to 12:30. So this is look for a consolidation by the dip as long as it manages to hold that trend. Maybe it's back at 193, probably more like 193 and a quarter, but super strong day for Apple there. Brendo, I think we are done the old rundown there.
One more. Bonus round. How about that? Sunworks. Clean energy name just popped up in front of me here on a bit of a volume spike. It's not huge. It's 52 million market cap, but 25% notable. Heavy volume. Not seeing a reason for this yet, but decent look here for Sun W, guys.
This segment of the show brought to you by Surge Trader. Rundown brought to you by Trade Ideas, real-time scanning and alerting used on the desk by everyone you see on the show. See what's moving in the moment. Check out the QR code, bottom right corner of the screen, guys. Take advantage of this if you haven't. Great deal, 20% off. Trader TV 20. Shout out to our friends over at Trade Ideas.
Going over that Sunworks there, and thank you there, Surge Trader. Sunworks, look at how great this is. Just come to my chart because this speaks for itself. It's 165, and you're going to see, well, why would you like a consolidation breakout there? If you're just looking at the 3-minute or the 5-minute, it looks obvious, but you always want something to confirm a trade for you. How about that? Catch me outside. How about that? Just have a look. You pull up the daily chart. That's 165. It consolidates above the previous high on the daily. Sits around and says, hey, let's chill out for a little bit while the shorts think they have an opportunity to get it back to VWAP and then break the sucker back out. I don't think you chase it. What are you going to do? Give it, if you go long here, 12 cents doesn't seem like a lot, or 50, actually this is more than that, maybe like 15. You might be risking 15, 16 cents. That doesn't seem like a lot. No, like 15 is not great, but that's almost 10%. You can't risk 10% unless you really think this is going to bust out through $2.
Yeah.
And on a daily, that's a bit of resistance. So I don't know that this is anything unless it pulls back or volume picks up and we can find an entry, but I do love that. Zoom out, find a big level. ATVI might pull back in 93. I will go back into the long here at 93 if I get it. It just rejected 93.5 again. I don't have to tell you, look at the top at 93.50. Sometimes you can want the stock to go to 94 all you want. It's not getting past the 50 level every time. So I did take some shares out again at 47.48. If it fails that price again, I'll get more out. But this is a long at 93. No more messing around with bad prices. I'm only getting it in when the getting is good. And Nikola's moving. Okay, Nikola, you bounced off $2 this morning. I did absolutely nothing about it because I know I was looking at something else at the time. That's fine, as well. I was trying to get into Microsoft again. But there's your $2 hold. There's your consolidation off VWAP. Now where are you trying to go? So much room. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of room here. Oh baby. Okay, so 235 is the next breakout, so I'm not waiting for it to get to 235. Maybe there's a dip off 210 here that you can hold it to. Because if you risk 10 cents there, at least you're getting 2.5 to 1 if it gets up to the 35 level. So that's not so bad. But it probably needs to press 235 before you get the real room to the upside. And Nikola, short interest, because that's what we care about here. You're not buying Nikola because you think their hydrogen trucks are going to be the second coming, I don't think. You're buying Nikola for the 19% short float and the chance of a squeeze. At least that's my assumption. That's what we look for as momentum traders. I can Maybe the truck's great. I have no idea. And quite frankly, I don't really care, to be honest with you.
I thought Nikola was a bit of a scam company. I'm not sure.
So,
I don't know.
Okay.
There was a big scam originally.
There was a scandal. They rolled the truck down the highway. Like, they basically showed off the truck rolling down a highway, but they skewed the camera so it was rolling not under its own power, and it seemed like it was moving on its own power. Milton was out after that, so there was like a big deal. He still owns like 7% of the company and still banking on it because that's how things work. But yeah, it was a scam. Now it's just another, essentially alternative energy vehicle company that's trying to survive, to get enough production to go profitable, enough demand so that people can actually buy the things that they produce, and trying to pull out the string and bouncing what I think was off a dead cat bounce, because this is another stock that got underneath $1. It held 50 cents. That's how ugly it looks. It then broke out. Look at it hold a buck. You guys all remember, if you were watching this, when it came back into $1, I was like, just go long 101, 102. That was a great trade. I didn't take it the second day. I played 102 to like 115 on the first day. The second day was even better, and it just continued to go. So it's just squeezing to the upside, in my opinion. I don't know how far it can go, but $3 is where it got to last time, and you can see it completely rejected it. So there's certainly a chance it gets there again.
I got long Tesla on that 289 break. I said I wasn't going to take it, but then it hits 289 exactly on the offer, doesn't break it, pulls back, and now goes right back up. So this is the kind of consolidation breakout that you want to look for. I think this could be a trend move up to, the high of day, or at least this 291.50 that we came off of last time. Small share size on this, so I'm willing to give it a little bit more room, like 50 cents, to try to get it up to those highs as more of a kind of trend play. I'm not really looking to add to it anywhere. Maybe if we scream into 290 here, but market turning around right now, so I may be just getting out of this right now if it doesn't hold the teal at the moment. And that ATVI, I saw it roll over once again off the same price, off that 50 price, and I don't make enough money on buyout trading to hang on to that, so I just bailed on it. I lost patience with that one. Talk about the slow movers. That's like...
You know what's interesting, though? I'm telling you, and I say this because I feel like I know Max's style of trade in terms of seeing traders that trade your style. And having an idea of what that is, there are trades out there that it really does fit you. If you were... I feel as if that initial breakout...
Oh, yeah.
This, where I'm short this, for some people, if you're looking for the home run trade while I'm scalping short, this is probably a home run, just... breakout
yeah.
long, right?
Yeah.
You're sitting there okay, it's failed 94, failed 94, failed 94. I'm just getting out and not reversing. There ended up being news, but if you're just jam long here, it was a local break of 10. You risk it back to the even. Okay, fine, maybe 93.50 didn't go to 94, but I don't think you're complaining with risking 10 cents and this candle goes to 65 on a 3-minute.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right there. But you have to be sniffing that out and be patient enough to wait it out, wait the higher lows out, then take your break when you get a chance, jam, get your max position in one time. Not max as in you, but maximum entry one time.
I think that dip down into 93.10 or 93.05 there as well was... I feel like when breakouts retest nowadays and they hold, those are the trades where you can really get a lot more size on, because now you have a defined risk versus, you're kind of guessing when you're taking a breakout and just you have the order there and you don't know what could happen. When you get that dip down, you know that you're risking 6 or 7 cents there, so you can put exactly the amount of shares that you are, willing to risk.
You see AMD?
AMD, did it take out the high?
Shout out Randy in the chat.
All right.
Randy, you get the shout out in the chat. So I was short 17s on AMD, yada, yada, yada. That was a trade before, stopped out break even. It just retested that local high, which is off of here from Friday. So you can see it failed underneath 118 Friday afternoon. This would be the place to go short. Here's what's happening on the NASDAQ. You're right up, getting into Friday's top and kind of rejecting it as we speak. So a little bit of a small pullback on the NASDAQ. When that happens, I would be looking to enter a short. So I'm trying to get the short in front of 118. I do not want to chase it all the way down here. So when I saw that, I kind of popped the offer at 80. I didn't get it. I'm assuming somebody in here is probably already shorted. But yeah, you give it to the local high. That's 118 even. It hasn't really broken that. There's one wick above in the pre-market, but that's a dark pool wick. So I think if I can get 80s, I'm risking 20 to 25 cents on the short trade there. I do not want to have to chase it. Maybe I just go small amount short. And if it gets up to 80, then I get a better position on there. But the market does want to pull back. I also have to attend back over to Microsoft as well, because I have been holding on to this one, looking to hold through the break of the local high. Well, it never broke the local high, and we're going to be back at VWAP, which is where I'm entered into the long on Microsoft. So I might stop underneath 45. I'm long at 345.12. Sometimes you just hang on to some for the dream. It doesn't make that breakout, but I'm looking for a 45 bounce play into AMD now, but that's not the perfect price. Let's see if we can't get another 20 cents higher.
I'm adding to this Tesla position at the teal here. We get down to this 288.50, kind of fail break 288.50. So now I can add some size at like the 75 there. I got my stop below 288.40, and it looks like we want to get back above 289 now. The market is pulling back though, so being a little bit cautious here, not really wanting to hold this any further against me than this dip that we've just had. I think though, there's definitely room to 290 today. I've seen this move out of Tesla so many times where it breaks a level in the afternoon and just keeps trending until 4 o'clock. So hoping for that kind of move at the moment, but hope isn't a strategy, so you got to manage risk on all of these. And I got my stop in a nice tight spot. So we're looking for $2 of reward off of about 50-ish cents of risk here on Tesla. Then Apple, I don't know how I missed this today. I guess, it's just happening in the middle of the day, so you just kind of missed the move. But what a break today for Apple. I didn't think that there was news on Apple today. I didn't see anything personally.
I saw nothing.
But just strength, I guess, random strength on Apple, making new highs. I wonder if this is the one where you take a breakout this afternoon and you can just hold it until 4 o'clock.
It's the strong one.
Yeah, it's crazy strong. Like, can you take 194 as a breakout? Probably not. That's not really a key level. I don't know if this chart will load all the way back to the prior 194
193.50 could be a pullback trade.
Like 194 kind of hasn't had anything close above it recently. So, we had that kind of wick up into 194.50 at the end of the day one day, but we've never really closed a 30-minute candle above 194. So now is that a breakout that you can take this afternoon into the all-time high, and then maybe you're getting that 195 break? I feel like the market is maybe a little overdone today, but I mean, we're still not at Friday's high, so maybe there's room to go on the market, and maybe Apple can be the one to kind of do that breakout this afternoon and push us there, as my Tesla position is finally back in the money and looking to take out that 289 again. So looking for the 289.30 break, the last high, and just trying to be as patient as possible with this one, see if we can get that real trend move back up to the high today.
I like the patience. I'm with you on Apple. If there's a long to be had, I think that's what you want to go for. I thought a pullback, at least initially, into the previous top here, 193.5, could get you into the trend. But 194, you're right. I didn't give a closer look at this. These are a bunch of nasty wick highs. That's really a 194 top. So, take a closer examination of the chart, which is what you should always do. There really is a very clean 194 level. So I don't actually see a reason past that. When I glanced at it, I was looking at these wicks above saying, oh, that's not any good. 195 is the top. And I said that. And quite frankly, thank you for correcting that, because 194 is the actual high. This nasty wick here, that never happened. 195 has not been hit.
Yeah.
So 194 is perfectly valid as a bit of a setup trade. Tesla is definitely a strong one. Just want to quickly, I've seen a lot of people talking about on and off about GoEV today. And I don't want to say it's not a nothing burger, because any stock that gives moves like this, I'm not here to ever say, oh, it's a penny stock, it's no good. If you can trade penny stocks and you have the ability to take executions on them and trade size, why would you ever be mad? Like 57 breaks out and it goes to 70. That's a 25% move, right? Like if you're long that stock, you're just winning. It doesn't matter that it's a penny stock. It's just a win, right? And if you look at where it dips, right back into previous resistance and holds it a couple of days in a row. However, there's a flip side to this. If it takes out 75, well, giddy up, Because what's my favorite thing in the world? When a penny stock tries to no longer be a penny stock. This is 75 on the daily, pretty clean break. There is air from 83 to $1. So I think 75 to 83, 80 to 85, probably not that clean around that area. Maybe you have to go 85 and give it some room up there into $1. That sets up nicely. The volume might not be there right now, but if it starts going to the high, I think that can come right back in. So I have my eyes on GoEV. I don't have an issue with it. They delivered to Havana Woody there with the news. Here, I'll shout you out in the chat here. Delivered to NASA Walmart delivery coming. When it comes to a penny stock, sometimes, and again, it's a penny stock for a reason, generally speaking, I care more about the fact that there is a catalyst, not so much what the catalyst is. Because I just think when a stock is under that $1 for a while, runs to $1 typically are either happening or not happening. And when it starts to happen, you want to give it a chance to get there. If you can find setups on the way to $1, they can be fantastic. Rejecting $1 can be a great setup as well. Once $1 is broken, getting back in and bouncing off of it can be great, like Nikola was. So GoEV's on my radar for that kind of a move, potentially. Just hasn't happened necessarily just yet. The only new position I put on, outside of taking some shares off of Activision, was getting into AMD, which is still in this little consolidation. It's been in the money about 10 cents, but that's about it.
Yeah, I feel like that dollar level, I'm always wanting to take the $1 break on those stocks because you're risking basically like 3 cents, and usually they go, between 18 and 25, or if it's really good, maybe you're getting 50 cents out of it. And getting a 25 to 1 risk to reward is always something that I'm looking to take. This Tesla's finally starting to work, getting into 290. I took 10% of profit on this, trying to hold as much as possible for the
I have a question for you.
Move. Yeah.
Is it a...
No. It's not a Lambo trade. It's not a Lambo trade, but padding the stats going into the end of the day is never a bad thing, I find.
I just added that up. I added it at lunchtime, and I've been looking for an excuse to hit the key. So I didn't want to wait around because there might not be like something that runs that much where you could call it a Lambo trade. You never know what you're going to get in the market. But I can tell you this much, and I mean with 100% confidence I can say this. So when I had a great short. I was on the show on Sundial when it broke $1 to the downside. And then on that same day, I got shut down shorting back into $1.
Oh.
However, what I mean to get with this is when the same day, I'm looking at AMD because that's what I'm trading, but the same day that Sundial broke that $1 down, if you were here and had seen it, I think it held like 70 something and then came back the same day back into $1 and broke the $1, you'd have destroyed the $1 break-in.
You think so?
Because everyone in there, like the amount of day traders, because I was in it, I was shorting 98 and 99 when it was back up there, and people were loading in front of $1 on the way back.
And you could see this.
And
on
you
the
could
tape.
just see on the tape. And trust me, it was day traders getting their butts kicked because it was free shorts. They're just load in 98 short, 99 short. You're just shorting as many shares as you want in front of $1. So when it broke, you could have just gone long 01s. You could have taken any amount of shares you wanted. It was the cleanest trade back into like 10s if that's what you wanted to go. So we love those levels. And if you're a breakout trader, they're absolutely fantastic. There was one that we're looking at, which is not necessarily the same trade, but I want to go back to Nikola. I was looking for a dip buy. It doesn't seem like it wants to quite get there for me. I wanted something back in VWAP here. This is now making fresh tops at 225, so there's definitely a chance to go. Saad Mahmood in the chat, what is the typical risk reward that you're looking for? Every trade is different. So you have to approach a trade based on its individual setup. So when I was in AMD before, it wicked 117 to 117.10. The fill I got was 116.90, so that set me up for 20 to 25 cents worth of risk, so long as I could get it between 90 and 17s even. And I know VWAP is going to be the ultimate target, but I'm definitely covering some in front of 50s. I'm covering some in front of the even dollar level and all the way down. So my average out was going to be 116 if it got to VWAP. So in that case, I would have been making an average of 80 to 90 cents, risking 25 cents. But my first out, where I'm taking out about a third of it, is going to be at that in front of the 50 level. That's going to be at 30 to 40 cents, and so your R&R is a little bit better than 1-to-1. But that's just this setup because that's where the levels were on this stock. So as long as that makes sense, I like the 117 level. All of those, in at 90, I can zoom in there better. In at 90, risking to this local high, 25 cents. First out's here. It sets up when I'm looking at the chart technically, so I take the trade. If this wick is all the way to 118, I'm shorting 117, well, then I have $1 worth of risk. But that's not the consolidation I was dealing with. So every trade is going to be different. If I was shorting it up here, maybe if I get into the short at 117.20, giving it to the 118 high, I just don't see any way that that works for R&R because I'm anticipating there's going to be some trouble at 116 even. And I'm not going to make that trade. In this case, I am short initially at 60. I really want to only get more shares if I can get 80s because I don't want to risk 40 cents on the full position. I'd rather risk like 25 to 30, so I need to get some shares at the 80 level and then risk it to 118. I'm not bidding till it breaks down 117.50 and gives me fills closer to 117. Every trade is its own beast. You set up the R&R for the specific setup you're taking. A breakout trade could be completely different as well. As a matter of fact, I'll show you like what I did on AI. Like I had one trade on AI, I didn't take the breakout. It was probably better for the 40 break. I didn't see it until it reclaimed 40. Okay, so I see it reclaim 40 after bouncing off 39.98. So all I do is wait for it to get back above. There's some slippage on it. It broke 40. I got long 40.14. My stop was at that local bottom, 39.97. So that I didn't get any slippage, which is weird for AI. Probably should have been slipped, but I was not slipped. It ended up 20 cents worth of risk. I wasn't offering until 40.50. And just to remind everybody, 40.50 is a bit of a thing on C3 AI.
Oh yeah.
If we get near that one again tomorrow, Wednesday, whatever this week, I don't care. 40.50 is a breakout. And I think it's got room to 42 if we can see that trade. But every trade's going to be different. So you should set up the trade before. Then see if it's look at the levels, look at what you're trying to accomplish, where your entry is, where would you be wrong, and then from there you can look to see if the R&R makes sense. And if it works, then you take the trade. If it doesn't add up based on where you'd enter the trade, you don't have to take it.
Yeah, and risk to reward has to be based on like what is the probability that I think this is going to work. If you're saying like this is an 80% probability trade, then taking a 1-to-1 is totally fine. But for most trades, you're not going to have that level of conviction of an 80% or something like that. Maybe it's a 50% and it's a 2-to-1. So then, you're making whatever the expected value calculation is on that, which I've done before. And I mean, fairly simple. I feel like it's 1.25 to 1 or something. But
well, the bigger point you make is most momentum trades, like breakout trade, the idea behind a breakout trade is that if it's a coin flip, you should be positive.
Yeah.
And if it's a complete 50, if it's a big level that you want to be trading around, and it's a coin flip, okay, well if you only win on 50% of them, you should be up. And if you're winning on 55% of your breakout trades and you're not green, then something is wrong. Because all you should care is that you traded off a key level that had the potential and whether it went or not. I'm trying to think of what would be a good one. Coinbase is going to the downside. Like an example would be like if 110 had broken on coin and you're taking that long. I don't know if it's going to go to 115, 120, but I know it's a big level, and if it breaks it, it's got room to 115. So I want to make sure that if I get in and then stop out at 109.50 and lose 50 cents, okay, well if I was scalping the entire thing out for a 30-cent winner, then my R&R is going to suck. Because I wouldn't have made enough to account for that chance that it stopped me out. So you have to structure things in that regard. Carvana is another example of like breakouts. If you're 50-50 on Carvana breaks, I think you're laughing. You're absolutely fine.
Oh yeah. Because you can risk like 10 cents on a Carvana break. Yeah. And sometimes you can get $2, $3, $4. I think I got off of that 30 break last week. Obviously not with all of the shares, but yeah, you just have to structure the trades based on. If it's going to be a 50-50, it better be a 3-to-1, basically, for you to make money long term.
Well, the other thing to consider is like how you're getting. If you're getting out 10 times, then okay. Well, if you're going to have 10 exit points on a trade, you really got to be concerned with what's your average out.
Exactly.
Not just where did I get the last of it out, because if you get the last 10% out for 10-to-1, well, you didn't really get 10-to-1 R&R. Yeah. Like, what was your blended exit point? That's why I was sort of talking about the AMD trade in that regard. Like, I know where the blended out's going to be. Like, if it gets to VWAP, my average out's here. right? Like I know that going in, and that's how I think it's how it should be. Like 117 in, average out's going to be 117 if I get a 115 fill, because I've taken some out this leg, and then I take another leg at 116, and I take the last out for that 115. So my average out's going to be for that dollar, or just underneath that buck. But Upstart is just ridiculous. Bitcoin, the reason I went to Coinbase there is Bitcoin broke 30,000 to the downside, and coin kind of dipped underneath 105. This is this 105 level in the afternoon. Let me zoom in so you can see a bit better. Volume bottom just now, so it looks like it could creep back up and retest this 105. If it does, and we don't really, if we hold underneath 30,000, I don't see a reason not to look for a short 05 to 0520. I kind of like that R&R. Just to put a face on it here. This is going to work. If I go full screen, I know what's going to happen to my Binance chart. It's going to go black for a second. But you broke 30,000. You've been stair-stepping down. So I'd be looking to short this pop. Of course, I expressed that on Coinbase because that's how we like to roll. You can look at a Riot or a Mara. They're all squeezable names when you're looking at some of these actual equities for crypto. So I wouldn't trade these without stops and have yourself to find out. To me, that quarter mark would be it on Coinbase.
Yeah, that Coinbase, interesting today. Probably should have been thinking that 110 could have been a fade on Coinbase today, but kind of inside day on Coinbase as well. That 104 being a problem today to the downside.
Oh my God, I just remembered something. So the second you said 110 fade, the last time we were at 110. Now, I don't remember the exact news, but it was in the pre-market. We were on the show. Coinbase was losing its mind. It was trading underneath 90. It was trading underneath 80 the day before. Broke 90, was squeezing at the open. And once it got past 110, like it was insane. I think it got almost to 120 that morning.
Oh, and it was fake halting up a bunch of times.
It was like fake halting up, and people were getting stops blown out, fake halts all over the place. That was right here back in August 2022. And then once it was back underneath 110, it just died. There was no bid. There was no buy the dip. Any of that. It was just the easiest short of all time. So maybe when it got to 110 today, should have been thinking fake. But that's what you have to do. Like you gotta zoom out. I didn't even zoom out on that one. That's on me. Why was I not zooming out on my daily chart when Coinbase was up here? Because I was going to take a 110 long break.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too. I had the order out there. I was getting kind of nervous because I knew how badly that could go if it was bad. But
well, I'm glad I didn't take that crap now.
Can't even get there. I mean, I liked the 102 long. I liked the 100 long. Neither of those came in today. We'll see if those come in tomorrow or later this week. Back to this Tesla trade, looking to take out the recent high of 56, which it just does. So trading in the 60s now. Tesla trade finally starting to look good. We'll see if we get that 290 test. It looks like extremely high probability, as Obi might refer to it as. And I got my eyes on Upstart as well. That high of day looks kind of juicy. 53.75 high of day. We just woke up off of 52.5. Little double bottom there, couldn't break. Now getting back up, like maybe 53.50. You could take a breakout on this, and then you're looking for that 53.75 to break, and then eventually 54. I don't know why I've been ignoring this today. I saw it when it was consolidating below 50, thinking it's probably a great long there. Didn't take it, but I haven't even zoomed out and looked at the levels on this name. Like, what is that? $55 is an absolute breakout level on this stock. Gap fill all the way up to 72. So if we're taking out 55 today, I think I need to be long Upstart, and I'm hoping that it fades for the rest of the day, and then we can take that 55 off the open tomorrow instead, because afternoon breakouts are a bit of a challenge typically, but I don't know. I mean, 35% short float, basically, you would think that most people who are short would be short below that 55 level. So I will take that breakout today, definitely lighter size than I would tomorrow morning. But I think that's one that you got to have. That gap fill is absolutely massive, and if the volume keeps up on this thing, then the sky is the limit. With that crazy amount of short float, already up 15% today. Volume is actually not that high. given that it's a 70 million float and we've only done 12 million today. So not enough opportunity for those 35% of people to stop out of this one today with only 11 million shares done. I think there's more room for this potential squeeze. So.
Well, this won't be a squeeze if it goes higher, but it is squeezing to the upside. It's AMD. It's into that 118, so I did wait for it to get to 80s to add, so I get myself a 70 price. Remember I was saying like I wanted to actually risk 25 to 30 cents on it, so that meant waiting for it to get to 80, take another fill, and get an average price. It's 69.5, but you know, penny difference, not that big of a deal. If it breaks 118, I just want to get out. I think that could become incoming pretty quickly. However, maybe this happens, maybe it doesn't, but I have my order in now. We touched 193.80 on Apple. So that's close enough. You know, my 194 breakout's in. If we pull all the way back to view up, I cancel that order. Always want to make sure I cancel a breakout order. If it gets too far away from the breakout price, you don't want to have it just sitting out there. That's a mistake you don't want to make as a trader. But if we can continue to go sideways, there might just be a consolidation long on Apple because this NASDAQ wants the high. I just can't see, as strong as this has been, if we're taking out highs here, why wouldn't I want Apple back into 193.50 if we have a chance to break out the high in both the NASDAQ and the ES in this consolidation? I mean, Apple's done the heavy lifting. If the market breaks out without it, I'd be completely shocked. So, you know, there might be another long in here off 193.50. I might have said that kind of under my breath, like, well, there's the previous breakout price. This morning's high was 193.45. Distinction without a difference. There's 45 again. There's it breaking out from there. So I like it into 50. Maybe you have to stop it out at 45 or underneath that price, but a little bit lower, and I'd be dip buying Apple instead of going in the other direction. Mike Pena, Quadunk Hour. We're that pessimistic that the market can get to 1%. I've been there before. I know the feeling, like the market's screaming higher. Why is the market going higher when everyone is so bearish in the market thinking it's all overheated? But it's a pretty strong upward trend. The trend is your friend. I think there's shorts available off the highs, but I'm probably 3 cents away from getting stopped out in AMD, so there's that, right? Like you can like the short all you want, but if it gets stopped out, it gets stopped out. If you find something at resistance, I think it's not that bad to fade it. I'd rather do it if it's relatively weak than if it's super strong. That's the way I tend to want to approach things. Like look for something that shows relative weakness and then go into the short. Apple, to me, isn't really showing that. So I'm in AMD because it failed the 117. Like it failed this area on Friday. It's got a nice upward trend, but it already showed me a fail of this price area, this morning, and then again on Friday. Once it clears out 118, there is way too much room above here to be fighting this thing above that price. If it fails and gets back underneath 118, I think you can be looking for the short. But you know, I'm shorting it because it's got one last line in the sand, and if the market doesn't break out, I tend to like it here. Coinbase, never really got that one. The over 115 fills, I guess you could have had them if you're aggressive. I didn't get any. That's still available. Bitcoin's still under 30,000.
Nvidia is really coming above this 461 price again. This is where I like the short, right below 462. This is where it kind of turned around previously. But I feel that the trend is just too strong on this NASDAQ at the moment to try to short Nvidia here, given that it is still, you know, $3 off of today's high. I mean, could just go short right here, risking like the 50 cents, and then trying to get it back in at 459.5 or 458. But I don't know.
Short Nvidia, huh?
I don't like shorting Nvidia these days.
Especially when AMD is threatening its break.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like maybe that's what they want it to look like, though. You know, make it look too dangerous, and no one's going to take it, and then that's the ultimate short. But sometimes I think I'll stay away from that. Stick with this Tesla long. Maybe we take Upstart breaking 54 if we get that today to try to get that into 55. Tesla, I changed the trail stop to 288.90. This consolidation here, this is where it kind of broke out from as well. So if it gives that up, we'll get out. I'm surprised that it hasn't touched 290 yet, so a little bit weaker than expected. I kind of figured we'd be through 290 and we would have either fail broken, I'd get out, or we'd be trading 291 right now. So, you know, gonna probably take some profit ahead of 290 now, and we got it trailed What else is going on? What are people trading in the chat? Affirm stuck at 17. Affirm is a Neil stock for sure.
Well,
I
the
can
thing
take
about
a look at
Affirm
that
is,
one.
I mean, on a day where Upstart's going absolutely ham.
True. Yeah.
Like, is that when you? That's why I didn't really. That's probably why I didn't short it. Well, I know that's why I didn't short it, but yeah, it's hard to do. Like, you know, it's a squeeze stock. It has been an upward trend. It literally just bounced off to 50 in the 200. Oddly enough, hey, look at that. Every now and then, the golden cross actually is positive. Like, I'm pretty sure I've seen a few golden crosses in the last couple of months, and they've all been hot garbage if you actually went back and looked at them. But this probably set up pretty well. Like, golden cross there. It ends up opening the next day underneath, but that's a complete rejection of it. Then one more day after, and it's holding 14 and breaking higher. So that's actually pretty solid. If you're into that kind of a technical analysis trade for a swing trade, you probably swung long when it got above 1450, somewhere in here, and then you got yourself a nice win. So trending up. I didn't short the 18 level because, quite frankly, you didn't get it. So that's 18. This is the daily, bit of a double top there on the daily. It never really got to that price. Didn't engage any short trade for myself. Upstart was going absolutely ham. Maybe it gives you something off those levels. I don't know. Like, you could say, okay, it breaks 17 downside. You get into the short. I don't know if I want to break down. I just got out of AMD, so first short good. We short off that high. It does not work out, but we're going to adhere to our stop. Hard stop at 118 even. I'm not really chasing the long on this one. I want to see the volume, and I want to see a hold above the 118 level. I'm not convinced to just jump into this break. There's plenty of room to the upside past this level. Like, you have room to 122, so I don't need to jump into 118. If it's going to go in power hour, there's going to be a secondary entry off this breakout. So out of that short, as we head to the desk, we've got Danielle Shea with Brendan.
Hey guys, yeah, Monday afternoon. I was going to say morning there. Wow. Let's bring in Danielle Shea, VP of Options over at Simpler Trading for a tee-up here, a little bit of a preview as to what is to come this week. Good to see you as always, Danielle. It's going to be, I mean, it's the first big week of earnings. We get some of the banks back on Friday, obviously, to kick things off. But some big names to come this week. I want to jump right into a few here because there's a couple to cover. Everyone knows how much you love Tesla and how much you're awaiting your Cybertruck. Guess what? They started rolling them off the production line, according to Tesla, on the weekend. I mean, earnings still a couple of weeks away as far as, Tesla coming up on Wednesday, but earnings still a couple of weeks away as far as some of the chip makers is where I was going with that, are concerned. But last I read, there was 13, 14 different GPUs specifically in a Tesla Cybertruck. Should we be playing Tesla or maybe some of the chip makers instead?
So first of all, I love Tesla here and I love the chip makers here. I mean, I think that they both look great. And, I know that you guys are amazing at trading, day trading and shorter term time frame patterns, but I want to show you a longer term pattern here because this is why I get so excited about Tesla. If we go to a monthly chart, and I mean, let's be real, like it takes forever to trade a monthly chart, right? But it gives me the big picture idea that I have. On this monthly chart, I mean, you can see how we've had this really nice stair-step pattern. This is called a Fibonacci two-step pattern, super bullish. It hit and held this $100 price point. It's trading higher. It's broken through this key area of resistance. And what I love about it is it has this monthly squeeze. The last time we had a monthly squeeze set up, this brought Tesla from $11 a share all the way up into here. So you see this huge move that happened. I think that that's the kind of move that we're looking for in Tesla, which is going to bring us up into $400 and then $500 a share. So longer term, big picture, that's what I'm looking for. And, with this earnings report in particular, I will tell you, pretty volatile name. If I look at my hot zone, this is what I look at when I'm trying to determine, which direction I want to go on earnings. You can see these gaps. Half the time it's up, half the time it's down, right? That's why as an options trader, I really like to just come in and sell premium on this thing. But I will tell you that this quarter, I want to show you something here. You can see how the price is coming right up into this $315 price point, right? It has an $18 expected move on Tesla. It has a squeeze. I think all it needs is a little bit of a boost, especially after these price cuts. And if we can get this thing through 315, that is where it's just going to be phenomenal for day trading, because we can get a short squeeze going and a post earnings move. And that's what I'm looking for.
The volatility, I'm glad you brought that up. Volatility after earnings with a name like Tesla is obviously always through the roof, as you said. Sometimes it's about 50-50. We actually went back a couple of weeks ago and did the math on that. It's about 50-50 on the gaps, directionally speaking, for Tesla. The past couple have been huge. Deliveries, huge, going back to the last report. For Tesla, is it, I mean, we get these headlines over the past couple of weeks of, you know, the big manufacturers finally jumping on board and switching over to Tesla's charging technology. No one's really even talking about yet the SaaS side of this, or the software side of this, that's in addition to everything, obviously, that's coming with the cars themselves. So, I mean, the catalysts just keep stacking on top of one another.
Oh, yes, definitely. And I mean, that's going to be huge, because the thing is that Tesla had to create the entire network, right? And one of the main reasons why I didn't want a Tesla in the beginning was because I said, well, where am I going to charge it, right? And my husband had to demonstrate, oh, look, here, you can drive across the whole country. And you know, that's one of the major differentiators with Tesla. When you go and you charge your Tesla, it takes like 20 minutes. You can run in and get a cup of coffee, right? Most of these other EVs, they just take so long. It's just impossible. So with the fact that all these other companies are changing to the Tesla charging standard, I mean, that's going to be huge for EVs in general, but also for Tesla, who has control over this entire infrastructure. So I think you're onto something here. And I think that, you know, the long-term impacts continue to be huge. You're absolutely right about earnings with Tesla. You know, it's up and it's down, and it can be very volatile. But, you know, I'll tell you what, if we do get a down move this quarter, I mean, that's just going to give me more opportunity to continue buying this thing for my longer term goal and my longer term plan. And the volatility will still make for great trading.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been sitting here saying, please go down, please go down, please go down. They want to buy more and buy more. So we'll see. Let's move on. Netflix coming this week as well. I was talking when we came on at 2 o'clock here this afternoon. There was a note, I think it was Friday, it might have been Thursday afternoon or Friday afternoon, highlighting the fact that this Hollywood actors strike and writer strike that's been ongoing is going to negatively affect the Netflix of the world, the Paramounts, the Warner Brothers, the streaming names in general, simply because there will be a lack of new content for the foreseeable future here. That being said, I mean, you rewind the clock a few months, you know, there was a long line of analysts saying, oh, but the ad-supported tier, the ad-supported tier, the ad-supported tier, this thing's going to 500.
Well, you know, I am looking at the writer strike as a potential negative impact, but I think what's good about that is that the news has already come out before. And so I'm hoping it's going to be a little priced in, because I think it's going to be, you know, a major factor as far as forward-looking guidance, and we're already going to know. So I'm hoping that when the earnings report comes out on Netflix, we're going to see some positive impacts from the password sharing, because ideally more people have had to sign up for Netflix because they were using someone else's account before. I think Netflix has also cut a lot of costs because they have started producing less content. But, you know, also I'm looking at the Netflix chart, and it's just been having a massive move. And when you're looking at this major gap that occurred in January of 22, I mean, we are on the way to filling that gap. If you look at the pattern, even just in the short term, you have a bullish daily squeeze right here. You have a market maker expected move of $36. You know, that could bring you up into 475. And at that point, you're just a stone's throw away from filling this gap. And you know, that gap fill would bring you up to about 515. And so I think that looking for a $500 price target and then up into 515 makes a lot of sense. I'm still going to look at Netflix to the upside this quarter, and I'm hoping that they don't hone in too much on the writer's strike, though I do think that that's going to be a negative impact.
Yeah, let's see if they comment at all, you know, during the earnings call, maybe on what is happening. Obviously, a lot of content relies on that to be sorted out. I mean, what a great day today, even 2% here to the upside, trying to get back even higher as we speak for Netflix. I mean, quickly, let's touch on the banks. We got a few back on Friday. We get more this week. Goldman headlining. Anything you see here as far as what happened maybe on Friday or even to come this week for the banks?
So what I love about the banks is that they have caused an additional move higher in tech. And so whenever I'm looking at the banks, that's always my hope because I love trading the tech stocks right after banks. And so when you look at JP Morgan, you can see that it gapped up 1.8% right after earnings. And then today it's up another 2.44%. So for me, that is perfect. That's great. That's exactly what I want to see for a bullish earnings season because it just really helps the momentum go higher. As it relates to the rest of the banks, they can be a little bit more tricky. You know, Goldman Sachs, if you look at this chart here, you know, it's been pretty back and forth. The last year and a half, really not much to see there. And then same thing if you look at Morgan Stanley. I mean, with the banking crisis that we had earlier in the year, we're not really seeing any kind of directional trend in these bank earnings that are coming up next. So I'm hoping they're going to be a little bit more of a non-event. So barring any kind of banking catastrophe, my plan is to continue to look for bullish tech off of the coattails that we've already seen, you know, JP Morgan trade higher and the continuous move in the NASDAQ that we're seeing right now.
It was amazing. If you go back to that JPM report, I mean, 67% increase in profit, I think it was, or revenue for the quarter. And everyone kind of just said, okay, fine. You know, it was a bit of a non-event as far as JP Morgan. They all got sold off as we saw back on Friday. Let's go to Microsoft here. A bit of a nothing day today, dead flat, in fact, for Microsoft. Still got to wait a couple of weeks here for some of these earnings, Microsoft, to come through. But all the focus, all the attention on this ATVI action. I mean, the deadline coming up tomorrow, in fact, for them to get this deal done. The UK kind of saying, okay, go for it, I guess. I mean, they won that court decision last week. Is there a way, a lot of people have been asking, is there a way to play maybe the deal finalizing and getting done going into it, or are you simply looking ahead to earnings?
Oh, definitely. And I love how you're pointing this out because any time that I can have, you know, a major macro reason for a trade combined with my technical setups, it just makes it even better. And I did also hear that Microsoft is going to be having an AI event at the end of this week. So I think that could be another catalyst. I think the Activision deal is absolutely amazing. It's great for Microsoft. And I love that it went through. Another reason to be bullish on the stock. And when you look at the technicals, there's a couple things that I'm going to point out. Number one, you have this fantastic bullish trend. You have a nice cup and handle / double bottom pattern right here. A little bit, you know, not perfect on either one, but both bullish, right? You have a daily squeeze, again, bullish. And then you have the return to that previous all-time high right before earnings. So Microsoft historically does trade higher going into earnings. The last week can be a little bit, you know, back and forth, but generally I'm looking for about the 3-week time frame going into earnings, which, I mean, you can see it has been doing that. The other thing that I will point out about Microsoft is that it almost always rallies after earnings. So after earnings come out, I look at the 8-day time frame. And you can see on my stats up here, it says in the post 8-day time frame, it rallies on average about 3.75%. And that's even factoring in the bear market because we're looking at the last 12 quarters. So when I'm looking at Microsoft, you know, there's a couple things you can do with it. Number one, I own the stock. It's one of my top portfolio picks. Number two, I am targeting 350 on it. I have a couple trades on it, targeting that price in the options market. But I think the next level is going to be 265 because when you get, you know, this squeeze down here firing to the long side, it's going to bring you up to new highs and then it's going to take you right up to that next zone. And with the post 8-day average being pretty solid, that's a zone that you can target.
I just saw here, it's actually July 25th. After the close, July 25th, we get Microsoft earnings. And then the very next day, hey, guess what? We get the Fed as well. So 26 should be a pretty exciting day. Great stuff, as always. It's everyone's favorite time of year. I read this morning, actually, an analyst wrote, of the 30 S&P 500 companies that had reported so far, 80% had beat. So good start, I guess, to earnings season. Danielle Shea,
Very bullish.
Danielle Shea is VP of Options over at Simpler Trading. Thank you.
Thank you.
Microsoft this entire. I got long at 3:45 at 11 o'clock, and it was hanging on to it, looking for the dip back in. And you cannot make. I'm not making this up. You guys can look at the chart. Anyone that was watching Microsoft knows that as it was making the VWAP under over bounce, that is exactly when Danielle was saying how they're going to beat on earnings because they go higher after earnings. And no way. Maybe it's a coincidence. I have no idea, but it just worked. So got some out there in the first consolidation. It's about 30 to 40 cents, depending on how tight you got it to 45. I ended up getting it at 13, so it's more like the 30 cents. But it has more chance to run here. The market is heading a little bit higher as we speak, as it's breaking out of Friday's, not yet Friday's top, but getting very close to that 1% on the NASDAQ. So always want to make sure you ring that register, take a little bit of profit. This was relatively weak going into it. I have to acknowledge Coinbase here. While Danielle was on, I did grab that 105 short, 104.99 on Coinbase. It got down in there, gave me a fill in the 50s, reloaded it this time at 105.10, and there's your stop out. So coin was good the first time off that level, not the second time. The first win did happen while Danielle was talking, but now we're back in the reload on Microsoft. ATVI, and I was just telling Max this, it just pulled right back into 93. This is where the home run trade was. I mean, the home run, I guess, is if you had the breakout, but it gave a nice dip into 93 the first time, 93.5. It's 318. As a day trader, this is not a load up area again. I cannot see myself. I might jump back into the long here underneath 93.10, but it'll be for a fraction of the risk that we had before. So you won't see me shotgunning it out like with 40 exits, because with 40 minutes, there's not enough time for it to make a monster run. And the other thing that's happening, and I'm sure most of you have been able to see, is Apple is at 97. So the 194 break is going to happen imminently. I can try, oops, wrong direction. I can try to show you the level 2 here. This is what we see up at 194. 80,000, 90,000 shares on the offer. Decent size on the offer at 194 even. I'm taking this breakout. We'll see what happens. The NASDAQ does seem to want to get to this high. Could break any second. There's the break on Apple. Kind of floating above, not really going immediately. This could be one of those instant fail breaks that the second time is good. So I just threw my tight stop in there, and we'll see what happens. There's not a lot of buying, but when it got back under at 99, it instantly came right back up to 1s and 2s. So even if there aren't like a bunch of big bids here, there's like 1,000 lots at 91, 92 when it goes up. Now it's starting to go. A little bit more action here. I'd like to see, if as a scalper, I want to see some go into the 110, and then if we can get some out there. Wow, Microsoft is picking up too. Whoa, Nelly, Microsoft just broke 346. So as Apple was going,
Big market break out there.
big market break as it just took the high of the day. I want to make sure I'm getting some out. This is a level here on Softy. That's at 346 quarter. So we're going to get some out. Thank you, as always, Danielle Shea, for rallying the entire market. Please take a second to hit the like and subscribe so that Danielle will come back on. You cannot make this ish up. We were doing absolutely nothing. Talks up every single big tech name, and the next thing you know, we're going to the moon. You can't make it up, Max.
It is what it is, I guess. Tesla broke that 290 as well, so that Tesla position's working out for me. Looking for a high of day on that one.
The odds?
Take more profit. And I didn't actually take the breakout on Apple on 194. I was a little slow to get there. But once it started to pick up volume above that price and it got above 05s, I was able to punch long. Got a price that was probably similar to what I would get anyway on the breakout, and now we can take it with a little bit more conviction. So yeah, I got 25% out there. I'm looking for all-time highs on Apple to take the next profit, which is 194.48.
Right.
And then we'll see if we can get that 195 break today. Market absolutely screaming through Friday's high of what was that, 15,858 or 856. So yeah, cleared that. All the shorts on the market are getting roasted at the moment as we just get long these tech names and keep making money. So, you know, just get long these days, and most days you're going to be fine, it seems.
Uptrend, baby.
Yeah. Trust the trend, trust the teal.
Oh, yeah, NVIDIA.
Yeah, NVIDIA.
I was going to say,
Oh my
NVIDIA
God.
is...
Nvidia.
Well, I know, but everything is up. So anything that you might have liked for a long, if you took it, great, congratulations, you win. If you didn't take it, then you're probably gonna have a little bit of FOMO. But this is 465. This was a local morning high. It just turned right around at that same price. So maybe watch out for that. You want to pay yourself out when you go into levels like this. Max just mentioned 194. It wasn't exactly 194.50 is that all-time high, but close enough to it that I would want to get some out as well. I scalped out twice already. My stop was underneath 95. I had a very tight stop on that. I was long. I'm not long at 194 even. I have 194 and a half. I've been trading a long time. On an even dollar break of a big cap tech name, I've never gotten a fill at the half. That's literally a perfect fill. You swipe the book and get a midpoint.
Nice.
That almost never happens. But it is, I am technically long at the half. It is above 194, but that really doesn't happen very often. Always pay yourself out. Once I saw us get to this lower high resistance on Microsoft, I took some out. If we're gonna go dip buy hunting and we don't fail this breakout on the NASDAQ, then 345.50 would be the area of concern. I am still in a portion of Activision. I have less than 10, I have like 5% of the original long off this 93 area. I do want to maybe get something back in, but I have not seen a lot of strength. Like this, it looked like there was enough of a bounce, no bid has stepped up. Now I need to see it bounce right off that 93 even, if I'm even taking this at all. It's selling a little more than I would like back into what I thought would be a bounce level. I was telling Max this earlier, if this same rejection at 93.50 had happened, if this had gone to 94 and done this, I would have been all in short. To me, that's the short level today, was at the $94, but 93.50 has an absolute brick wall on this stock. $1.50 away from the deal price. That is people saying this is not happening tomorrow.
Yeah, that Tesla I bailed out of really rejected that 290 very strongly. So just bailed out on that break of 289.50. Maybe wrong call there. I am not sure, but I really don't want to be holding this if it's going to reject that 290 price. Given that there was size again intraday on the offer, that's clearly a strong price on Tesla is 290. Usually these round even dollars are, so don't want to be holding through a rejection of that. Couldn't get that $2 move that I wanted on the last piece, but is what it is there. The Apple one I still have 75% on. Should probably take some more profit at high of day, but I'm really looking for a bigger picture move on Apple. I think we could see that all-time high today. I've seen these even dollar breaks on Apple sometimes work. We are kind of running out of time on the day, but you can get a trend on this name for sure, especially with this move that we've seen today. Just if we get continuation of that move, we get 50 more cents out of it. Maybe we're seeing 195 today. I wouldn't necessarily expect that to break, but maybe we get close enough to see it on the offer. That would be kind of the ultimate target, would be like 194.80s if we can get that on Apple today. I think you could, in theory, add on 194.50, given that that was the previous all-time high, 48. If you're going to take another all-time high breakout on it, I probably won't, given that there's not enough time left. If it was 3 o'clock right now and that was happening right now, I might do that. But you gotta give yourself enough time to get these moves done. And I feel like by the time we get to 340, you want to be out of this position basically. You don't really want to be holding into the imbalances on these tech names. And one more trade that I did make, kind of behind the scenes there. I took the upstart high of day break. It looked like it was going to go. It looked great, and then it just stopped at these 84s and instantly kind of flushed down 20 cents. So got stopped out of that one, which is good because I want to see that 55 break tomorrow off the open. I don't want to see it right now. So hopefully we'll be taking that trade tomorrow morning and maybe getting up to 65 or something crazy. As Apple heading towards its high again, lots of buying going off here. This 25 price has been reserving a little bit. I think it's just because it's that kind of $0.25 level, typically fairly strong on Apple. But yeah, looking for that 32 break.
Okay,
today.
I happen to have, I don't know why, but I have 35 cents on the table here. I was just sitting here in front of my change thing. So I'm betting that, because I don't bet real money. I make bets like in trading places. Like it's always cheap.
Yeah.
So I got 35 cents at upstarts gaps above your breakout price. You're not getting that 55 break real time. We're going to get a break 55. If it breaks 55, it's going to gap above, so it'll already be there in the pre-market.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just okay. So you don't want to take that.
I agree. They always do that. They never give me the breaks that I want.
It doesn't mean you can't trade it, but it was something else.
Meta 300 recently.
Meta
did that
did that.
Nvidia, every break they do that. The 440, we never got the 440. It goes to 480.
And for some of you, like I've said this before, if you are a swing trader and you are looking for the big swing levels, if you can't trade pre and post market and have liquidity, the ability to trade pre and post market is very important.
Yeah.
For a lot of this style of trading, especially for like short duration swings. If you're swinging for like a day or two, or for even for less than a week, you need to be able to trade pre and post market and have a risk parameter around that, because you don't want to, like if you're swinging a 55 break and it gaps to 57, you might not want to just take it long at the open. You might want to be able to get 55.50 at 8 o'clock or something like that. So it does come a play. I did make the bounce off 93. So this Activision, I said, forget about VWAP. It's just a line on a chart. I now need to see it bounce off 93. I got some here at 4s, added at 3 when it bounced off 93, and I'm already scalping it out. Always have a plan of action. I know this is the level, but it's one thing, breakout, hold the dip price the first time. The second time through, I'm going to get more aggressive out early because I don't think it's going back to 93.50. I don't expect to repeat that same trade, but I'm going to get myself a better price. So here I was long in the teens. I was long at 30s into it, but my average price ended up 18 because I was taking 11s and 12s, and then some at 7 was my best price. This time, my best price is right down here, 2s and 3s. That's the difference. If you tighten things up, you can take less shares. You can also get a better entry point to your exit price. So instead of risking 10, 15 cents, you can risk 3 or 4 cents. And that's another way to manage risk. So I said this would be the stock I'm the most active on, 123 fills later. And I feel like that's at least 200 fills too little. No, I'm being dead honest about that. Like, there's very few times. I've been waiting for Activision to firm up to have a day where you could be trading it like this. So I will not be happy because I could have done so much better, and you won't get that many days where you're going to be able to trade it like this. So you want to take advantage of it if you do. Going back over to Apple. So it's retesting 194. A bounce off 194 looks pretty juicy here. It's still all red since getting to that local high. I'd love to see it bounce, show me a little green, and then we can add back into this off of the 194 level. But this is an add to me. It's up to 329 right now, so there's a little bit of time for this to go, not forever.
There's enough time for it to get to all-time high, I would say.
Because that's 50. So yeah, there's one more. To me, there's like a 94 to 94 half move left in it.
Exactly.
But
that's
about
what I'm
it.
banking on here.
That's about it.
And it can't really print below 05. So, well, it can't at all print below 05s. It doesn't really want to print 05 at all. So, looks like there's some buyers here. Do we bounce? Who knows? I got my offer out at 44s ahead of that all-time high. Maybe I take a little more out ahead of the local high here at 30s. But looking decently strong here on Apple, as Tesla really faded out off of that 290. So you could have had 290 fail break, take it back through. You get the whole move that I just waited like an hour for in 2 minutes, basically.
You can't FOMO that, though, because you're never, are you ever getting a fail break if you're biased long?
No, never, because you're holding through that fail break to see if it rebids right away. Yeah, you can't have everything, unfortunately. If you could be short and long at the same time.
Go back to Max's chart for a second. No, go back, because you're not, here's the thing, you're never getting the perfect entry out the bottom like you did, because you're looking for the long as it's fail breaking the bottom.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because you're long bias in the stock. As long as you get that trade, you can't. Whatever. If you miss it, when you're looking, if you're looking short and you miss that fail break short,
then that's
then you've done something wrong. Because what were you trying to do? If it fails to break, gives you the reentry on that short off the local high, that's it. But if you're long bias, ain't nothing wrong with missing that one, man.
Yeah, and if you were short bias today, obviously a fail break of 290. I mean, that makes perfect sense there to get in back through 290. Then you're looking for VWAP. I don't know why my VWAP is so skinny on this computer. I'll have to change that one up, but it is that orange line there. We'll have to thicken up the line.
Oh, you know what?
so you
I
can
found a
see it
feature
better.
in P Pro 8.
Oh, yeah?
one of the features is I can set my default to the thicker line. You're going to do it right now, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You'll right-click the line, make it thicker, you'll save it and set it as default. It defaults back to the thin line. P-Pro 8 was not built for us showing you stuff on the show.
Yeah.
So it doesn't want to allow us to have thicker lines that I put in there. It doesn't want us to keep them there, which is a bit frustrating, but we hope you guys get the idea. It's just about idea generation. The early look on the imbalances. Thank you, ScarJoe Rabbit. Great name, by the way. 401 to the buy side. I will trust you because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it posted just yet. So
I feel like that's the same as it was on Friday. Actually, it was 401.
Was it 4
We
again?
were talking about the highway. 401 buy
Highway
on,
401. I was on
Friday,
there on the
same
way back from
imbalance.
camping. I was
Sean was
flying.
very worried about you getting a bunch of bug bites while you were camping.
So I did. I got I had some mosquito bites. It wasn't that bad. Where I was at near Grand Bend, if you know Ontario, that's the Pinery. It's
Oh yeah.
right up Grand Bend. I figured you probably know it. But the mosquitoes aren't really bad. They're there, and you got to wear bug repellent, but they're really not that bad. I have, and legit, if there'd been an opportunity to take a picture, I've got the mosquito getup for when it's really bad.
yeah?
Because my in-laws up north, we do the, they got a bunch of land. That's where we do the maple syrup harvesting every single year. I married into a massive, no, it's not really, but they do have a bunch of maple trees that we can tap, but they have horrible mosquitoes up just north of Aurelia.
Yeah.
And sometimes you go for a hike up there when we're visiting on a weekend, and you have to wear the full getup. So I've got I don't know what you call it, but it's like a jacket with a big, almost like a beekeeping mask kind of mesh thing that you put on. I took it with me just in case. I did not have to put it on. And our tent is like the Cadillac of tents. I don't know. It's got like this vestibule, like an airlock. Like you enter the tent, and there's like a little vestibule area, kind of like a mud room.
Yeah.
So you make sure there's no bugs that follow you in there. Then you enter another one to where you would sleep. And if you do it properly, there is never a bug in the tent. My wife is like, this is a tent we have to buy. I'm like, are you absolutely crazy? We're not even big time campers. She's like, trust me, this is what you want to do. We bought it last year. Now I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. Not a single leak when there was a thunderstorm. I don't know. It was just, when I looked at it, it was like, this is way too expensive. We're not
Yeah.
real campers.
Yeah.
But then after being in it, Cadillac of tents. I'll look it up if anyone's interested, but I don't even know. Neil isn't a gold digger. He's a maple tapper. I didn't know about them. I didn't know they had maple trees. I married her before that realization. Come on, man. I'm not a gold digger. But I do get free maple syrup every single year. It's a lot of work, though. It is a lot of work tapping those. ATVI, more ringing of the register. Congratulations if you're trading this. Just bounced. We just got some at 15s and did not have an offer at 25s, oddly enough. That was stupid, so try and get some out there at 24s instead. 93 is your level. That's it. There's only been 2 levels I've traded today. 94, I'm going to keep shaking my head every time I look at it. 93 short, 93 long. Okay, fine. I got out of hand here, and long some at 93.30. Price matters, man, because if I reserve the risk here for here, it's just a big difference. It's just more shares for that 30-cent win instead of having some jammed in there trying to overdo things. But Chase, it ended up working out here. Ring the register if you can. Maple to Canada is like gold to California. I don't know if I'd go that far, but you guys are familiar with spring break. I'm going to drop some knowledge on you. Here in Canada, we have something called March break, not spring break. March break exists because of maple season. So like kids would have a week off school to help their families tap maple trees. Because like, forget about sugar, up here, maple was sweetener for everything back in the day. I know that because I got a history lesson on maple syrup when I was visiting my in-laws. They're incredibly knowledgeable about it. But yeah, market's going up. Apple, I should have reloaded. I don't know if you did.
I did not.
I did not.
I still have like
either.
75% though, so
Oh, you
I've
don't
really
have to.
gotten nothing out.
I covered
waiting for
half,
this,
so I should have.
Yeah, I feel like I should have maybe covered a little bit more on this most recent push up. It doesn't really, I mean, as soon as you get below 20, it kind of starts to turn green, but then you get above 20 and it doesn't want to break out. So
Here's
I
my
don't know where
question.
Apple's going, but this looks pretty bullish right now.
So if you're in the teal shirt,
Yeah.
like should there be like you know what I want as an animation? I want to be able to throw a flag. I want to be able to throw a flag on a play. And I'm not saying you should have bounced off it, but you're wearing a teal shirt. You talk about follow the teal all the time. And pull up Max's chart for a quick second. Can you zoom in a little bit?
Oh yeah, we bounced right off the teal there.
Bounce right off the teal at your entry point, right off the 194 level.
Could have reloaded.
Could have reloaded.
Could have definitely reloaded.
Should have. Follow the teal, huh?
Follow the teal.
You're not going to sell many.
Trust the teal.
You're not going to sell many T-shirts if it looks that good and you don't take it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I leave the teal fills for our soldiers in the chat there who are trusting the teal with me. So they can have those fills. I'll stick with what I got.
That's a perfect answer, actually. He's so kind that he doesn't want to take the winning entry to leave some fills out there for everybody else.
Yeah.
Just for Bradley Morrell, on Max's chart, the teal line on it's a 3-minute or a
1 minute.
Oh, 1 minute on his. That's the 50-period moving average, right?
21.
Oh, sorry, no, 21. My bad.
EMA, yeah.
It's a 21 EMA
Yeah.
on that chart, which is I don't have it on my 3-minute. So just to give a bit of a difference, on my daily, my teal is a 50-period. So that's a 50 on a daily. So it's good. I'm glad you asked that question because I don't use the 21 here. I actually added it to one of my charts, so I will have it when I'm momentum trading. I have it on this chart here. Where I have relative strength on this chart. I'll add some moving averages like a 9 and a 21 on this one, but generally speaking, almost all of my charts are pretty clean there. Some momentum charts, I'll add a couple of things to them just to make sure I have it up there in case it is following. In this particular case, Apple's really riding that teal line. You could just be
It kind of
the algo that's buying the 21 period moving average is making a lot of money today.
Oh yeah, and it seems like there's been a couple algos who have been doing that for some time now. It feels like some of these trending stocks will just hug this moving average, which I don't even know where I got it from. I don't know why it's on my charts. It's just what I had. But if it works, it works, I guess.
I only know this because there was one point, we used to do a bunch of educational videos. And I remember we were doing research for a moving average one.
Yeah.
And as I was reading up on, because I use them on a, I don't really use them on a daily chart, so I use them on like a higher time frame, like only on a daily, not on an intraday chart.
Yeah.
So I was reading up on using them on intraday charts, and I found the 9 and the 21 are very popular,
Yeah.
specifically for day trading on a 1 minute or a 3-minute chart.
I used to have the 9, but it's just so much spaghetti on the chart that I like to keep it very clean.
I love spaghetti.
Yeah, spaghetti to eat, but too many moving averages on the chart, you confuse yourself. So I kind of chilled it out, just left the 21 here, and that I don't know. It seems to work for trending stocks. It's not like I actually use these as like an entry or anything, but if you're trying to figure out a way to trail something out, which is a thing that I have always had a problem with. You can kind of use that. If it holds below there for a certain period of time or closes below there, then maybe it's time to trail something out.
The science of trailing stocks out is, I think it's one of the hardest things to do. It's great because you're in the money. Like you can't actually go wrong because you're in the money, so it's fine. But the science behind it, I find you have to use like a major moving average, a consolidation at a previous price level, and that's it. I don't do any of that. Just give it 10% or 10 cents usually. I want to shout out the chat here because a lot of people are just throwing out what they use. Like I've seen 13 and 48. Adrian uses a 9 and a 21 himself, and that's exponential. Some people like the SMA. I use the SMA on my daily charts. I use simple moving averages. 12, 21, a lot of 21. 13, 24, 48, 200. Heck, man, I heard Danielle talk about the fibs. Fibonacci's, people like to use those as well. So you have to find what works for you and stick to it. If you find something with a positive expectancy or it gives you an edge, just stick with that. Don't worry about what somebody else does. It's a thought process that counts, and then executing off that process consistently, more so than thinking you're going to find something that's out there that no one else does, because that's rare. If you do, let me know about it. I'm very interested. Microsoft, I didn't dip by here. It was right to get out. I don't necessarily see a reload at 340, so I might just stick with what I have into the imbalances, and very similar with ATVI. As I said, I probably don't reload this another time. I think that's it. This last move, I was able to get essentially 80% out. I still have a bit of a piece. If it doesn't hold on 93, fair enough. Like you're just looking for these scalp trades to pad the stats at the end of the day. It's flying snap. Saul G, what's flying? You just said it's flying snap. Do you mean Snapchat's flying? Because you could have been like, oh snap, something else is flying. It's not entirely obvious to me.
Snapchat is kind of.
Yeah, Snapchat is kind of going. You missed something here today? Snapchat has that's not a bad looking chart. And the daily chart does not want to continue here, but wow, okay, Snapchat is flying. And if memory serves, I'll let it load up. I'm not going to make a guess at what the level is. Okay, I would have guessed essentially right. 15. No, it's 16. It's a $16 break on Snapchat that gets super juicy. Always zoom back in the daily as the stock starts to break out so that you know where it could be headed. 16's a level. 14 could set up for a break tomorrow. Congratulations! I hope that's what you meant. I hope you meant Sol G. If you meant Snapchat, then thank you. Congratulations if you have it long, and thank you very much for adding this to my list tomorrow for a potential 14 breakout on Snapchat. I don't know why it's up. I can maybe look into that. If there's news today, I missed it. It wasn't on our watch or anything like that, but thank you for it. As we said, the early look was 401 million shares to buy. It's still 401 million shares to the buy side for the early look on the imbalances. Yeah, Snap, super strong mover. Microsoft coming back in here. If I say it's not worth the reload, at least I don't think I want to reload off 93 again on ATVI. What I will at least do is make sure that we cover here. So every time it gets back into the 10s, I want to be getting some out, and I'll be all out if it gets back to 25. I really hope this is as good tomorrow, but you never really know. This is why I had that FOMO on ATVI, and I'm angry with my trading on the stock today, because it might not be this good tomorrow. It's done 35 million shares, and trading off the even levels has been absolute free money. Just trading off 93. So maybe we get this opportunity tomorrow. I'm going to be all over it next time. And yeah, Isildur in the chat. Some symbols are really obvious. So first of all, if you want to be in the chat, you have to be a subscriber. It's subscriber-only chat. So hit that sub, hit that like. But if it's Tesla, no problem. But if you say Snap, we don't know if you mean Snapchat or if you mean that. When people type good morning and they go GM in the morning, I keep calling up GM stock thinking that somebody wants me to look at GM and they're just saying good morning to me. So sometimes the $ can help in the chat. So can we check? Now everyone's going to hit the $sign and want us to look at random stocks. So suddenly Green Power Motor is on somebody's mind, Div in the chat, asking about GP. This move today, I didn't really look at this. Yeah, breakout. Not bad. I didn't look at the catalyst behind here, but day one move, breaks out 4, trying to hold 5 after a rejection of 6. Keep it simple. Breakout off the $4 level, closes above 5. Look for it to go off 6 tomorrow. I don't know if there's a short interest here. I'm assuming it's a low float name, but that's all I would care about. Closing above 5 is pretty bullish here. Now all of a sudden everyone's saying GM in the chat. Thank you very much, guys. Can't win.
You'll never look at GM stock again.
That's not true. I'm going to look at GM right now. You dared me to. Now I'm looking at GM. No particular reason. GM is a heaping pile of crap today. The market's up 1% and GM's down 3%. That's because Ford had a bad day. I know Ford's down 5% on Ford. Well, that got out of hand pretty quick. Yeah. I guess 480 wasn't a bad level on Ford to break. I wanted it to hold this level for a long at the open, which it broke this level before the open, but I wanted it to hold it for a long. I guess the other direction would have been a thing too. Damn it.
And kind of keeps going down all day. Usually you get more of a bounce and you close kind of in the middle, but no, that Ford chart looking kind of nasty.
That is nasty. They didn't like the price cut.
They didn't like the price cut at all. I guess Ford maybe not making enough money on those EVs to be cutting prices like that. I think some analysts would know more about this
I've heard
than us.
I'm not a pickup truck guy, but every person I know that has mentioned or talks about the F-150 Lightning says how sick it is.
Yeah.
So apparently it's absolutely sick. So I think eventually the adaptation is there, but
I mean, it's the most popular truck.
For a lot of
just turn it electric. It's kind of a no-brainer there.
But if you're in the U.S. and you're anywhere that has natural disasters, and you have concerns over the power grid, are you
as your
really,
only vehicle? No way.
As your only vehicle.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the problem with wide adaptation. That's not an issue everywhere, but trust me, man, if you're in Florida, I spent time in Florida. when you need to get the heck out of Dodge and there's issues with power to beat out a hurricane, you don't want to worry about being able to charge that bad boy up. Netflix, Bradley earnings are on Wednesday. That's your answer to that question. I don't really see, you know what? I'm not going to reload. I talked about this one. I'm probably not going to reload Microsoft at 345. I am holding on to the last piece, looking for the home run. I'll give it to, if it can bounce at 350 and show me a buy and balance, great. Then we kind of have something that's already working. And same thing with Apple. Right? Like Apple, at this point, it either holds on to 194 and it's a buy and balance and then back up to that high to get to 194.50. That's binary at this point. So we get 3 minutes until the imbalances come in. VXS, thoughts on ASML tomorrow? I thought ASML was after the bell tomorrow. They're not before the bell, are they? Oh, what am I talking about? ASML, they're going to report they always report for European times. And I did just go A for AS. I don't know why I do that. I always check, it's weird, I always check it out in Amsterdam before forgetting the fact that ASML is, of course, dual listed. But I'm going to double check what time they are actually reporting, because I know they're going to report for the European markets. My daily chart's hating me there. They're having a pretty strong day. This is a great barometer for things like LAM and AMAT as well. But outside of that, like, it sometimes gives you some indication on demand for the chip sector. So you always have to watch it. Not a stock we ever trade. I think I've traded it in Europe a couple times at the close, but that's about it.
Yeah, those when you get the price up to those crazy levels, it's kind of impossible. There was, what was it, Broadcom, AVGO, that people were trading a lot maybe a month ago.
Trade the options, I guess.
You could trade the options, which is much safer, much easier. I mean, we just can't manage risk properly with shares around here to want to trade those. And like, even if you're taking 20 shares or something of a $750 stock that moves around $5, the risk is kind of tough on that one, as Apple just went down to 194. Someone pushes it right down, can't get it through 194, and now we are right back up. So the breakout could happen. I don't really want to hold this into imbalances, but if we are 20 cents in the money, I'm fine with that. And yeah, does this size at 25 get filled? Looks like they want some of it, not all of it yet. Maybe I should be taking some profit here.
On paper hands, there was a little bit of size at 25. I just got some out at 24. And now I will hold on to basically 10%, because that's all I'm going to hold on to into 90 seconds until the imbalances come out. So again, it's binary. Either we get to 50. This time, however, I don't think I give it all the way to 194 even. Given how tight it is, I probably just stopped this out of like 10, so it cannot be a losing trade on Apple. Microsoft, a bit different. I will give Microsoft right back into 345 even. But this was the jam, as I just go back over to ASML instead of, so I have to cancel an order, hit enter, and it goes back to the other stock, and there you go. That was me live. So I'm going to get a stop out at 194.10. We have 1 minute till the imbalances come out there. I would love for them to be a buy and balance, but you cannot predict what is going to happen. It's an early indication, so I like holding the long into it. But if it comes out $1 billion, I think we're golden. If it flips to a sell at 350, I'd rather just get stopped out in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. You got to play the risk pretty tight and either be paying attention or have that live stop order out into the market. What was that? Oh yeah, people in the chat keep talking about Palantir. Looking good for continuation tomorrow. I don't think that there's necessarily, or it's New York. I don't think there's necessarily a trade today, but the fact that we're holding above 17 today, we're holding above 17.25 even, which was that prior high. I think we got room for that 18 break tomorrow, and I think that could be a very good break. When Palantir holds a break, especially on a long-term level, it's basically guaranteed to go to the next dollar, I find. You break that 18, you're looking for 19. As it looks like Apple's come out a sell.
I see, I have BAC as a sell, 1.5 million to sell. WFC is $1 million to the sell. So a couple of big banks are sell side imbalances. We don't care about that's a penny stock, it's $2 million. Apple is 800,000 to sell. So you see, I got stopped out when it broke 10s. My execution, what did I get filled? I got filled at 05. It broke 10s, I got executed at 05 there. So I'm out of that long. Still have Microsoft that managed to hold on. Not really seeing anything past Apple. What else is there? Intel's a sell and balance, 700,000. Amazon, 500,000 to sell. So this is what we're talking about. Google is a selling balance of 400,000. So it wasn't an early look to the buy side. Does not mean they have to come out buying balances. So what did we do? Took some profit in front of size, in front of 25, moved our trailing stop up so it can't turn into a losing trade. That's what you got to do. Make sure you ring the register. We'll show it to you live every single time what the imbalances are. But not just that. We'll kind of tell you the thought process behind how you might structure trades if you're in it already, if you're holding, if you're looking to enter, which we don't do too often after 350. So take the advantage of just kind of looking at those indicators and use them however you want. We're just here to show you our thought process here. All we ever ask you to do, and I haven't hit this once, is...
Hola, like and subscribe today.
And when you do so, we get better kick-ass guests who run the market up to the highs to give us good longs in the afternoon to pad the day. I'm still in Microsoft because it managed to hold on to 345. But it's bounced 20 cents off this bottom. I don't know how much more we get out of this. If we get up to like 50s, I'd probably just take that one out. Take advantage of the win if you can, but it might not even go that far.
Yeah, the biggest imbalance that I can really see right now is Tesla as a buy of like 120 million. Everything else, I think... some data problems giving us fake numbers on some of these. But yeah, Tesla, decent buy, but not really doing anything off of it. So 100 million, not really that much considering the amount of volume that Tesla does usually on the day. But holding at that 290 price, high of day today, below 292.50. So I'm wondering, what does this look like tomorrow? Where are we going to gap to tomorrow? Probably gap up again on Tesla, breaking that one or 292.50, and then maybe we see 295 tomorrow. Maybe we see 300 tomorrow if they decide to gap us into that 295 and don't let us have that breakout, which tends to be the case these days on these large cap names. All the breakouts happen pre-market, and you can't really structure the trade properly. That Apple, yeah, kind of got crushed a little bit on the sell imbalance. I mean, 25 cents, whatever. I get out along with Neil, and now we're back above that 194. So all-time high still intact on Apple for tomorrow's trade, hopefully. Yep. Maybe we can be getting that 194.5 breakout tomorrow, although looking like it maybe actually wants to go for it right now with only 7 minutes left. We have seen that before.
I don't know if it does it. I just got out of Softy. Softy just gave the move to 345.5. That's good enough for me. So the bounce, I didn't reload it. Just hang on and then take the 50 cents as it goes to the upside. Long this. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. I like the Neil and Max team. Your temperament helps keep me level. No YOLO, no FOMO. I had FOMO today. I hope I got it through. If it didn't come across how much FOMO I have over ATVI, trust me when I tell you, I have a lot of FOMO over ATVI because when I saw that the deal had firmed up over the weekend, all I was thinking about, the only thing I was like, when I come in on Monday, ATVI is going to be the stock that I trade the most. ATVI is going to be the stock I risk the most. ATVI is going to be my best stock today. And I feel like it should have been much, much better. As I said, I could have done so much more with this today. I really should have held on to 94 short. I could have been way tighter on the 93 long. So much could have been done better. But that's what we try to give you guys. Every single host on this show has their own perspective for trading, their own style of trading, and their own experience. That's what makes it valuable because every trader is going to be different. Like no two traders are going to trade the exact same way. And as a matter of fact, it was a mentor of mine early on. He used to say, take two traders, punch them in at exactly the same time on the same stock, and you will never get the exact same result. And I kind of took that to heart to realize you cannot follow someone else's strategy. You can learn from someone else's strategy. You can pay attention to key levels and trade around them and use them, incorporate them into your trading style, follow some rules that they might have. But you can't literally take the exact same trades and fills because it doesn't work. Everyone's going to be different. Stephen X, thank you for the super chat. There are wildfires here too. Thankfully, not where I was camping. I'm very fortunate for that. BC's really bad. Out west is really bad right now. Some of what's going on in the eastern part of Canada has tapered off a little bit. But yeah, there's wildfires here as well. Most of the worst of it is not anywhere near to where we are, but we appreciate that so much. You know what? When is Sharif back, George just said? I have to look at the calendar. I actually do not.
I believe
he's back next week, Monday. So Sharif is back next week, Monday. Sean is back on Wednesday from his golfing trip. He already showed some pictures to the links. So he's back on the course finally. He's like, I don't really golf that much anymore, but I don't know. He seems
He
to
said
golf.
this is his first time this year.
I find that hard to believe. Sean used to be, in our high school crew, Sean was one of the 2 guys that was like an actual good golfer. Everybody else just kind of went out and drank some beers and did some other stuff and kind of sucked. But Sean was pretty good, and there's another guy who was pretty solid as well, although that same person tended to, he had a lot of mulligans. And to me, I don't think that's cool when you play for skins, but whatever. Before the open, we have Morgan Stanley. So we talked about the banks, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley. Nobody really trades Lockheed Martin, but this would be the one day I think maybe to look at them. And Charles Schwab. They are going to be worth looking at tomorrow. That's been a decent day trading stock.
That 60 level on Charles Schwab I've been talking about for months. And we're only $1 away from there now. So
sign us.
Sign me up. Yeah, that will definitely be on watch tomorrow. Hopefully that doesn't break pre-market, but if this chart will finally load for me, yes. You can see how many days in a row, I think it was 4 days in a row, it resisted that 60 breakout. We'll see if that comes into play tomorrow morning off of that earnings trade. Did they? I guess it broke on Friday.
It did.
Okay. A lot of things happen on Friday.
Oh, I saw the charts on Friday. There is no chance Schwab was looking the first thing you were looking at.
No.
There's no way. Nvidia making the moves that it did. There's no way your focus was on Schwab at that 60 level, given what Nvidia did. But the best part about sometimes a level like that is when it breaks a second time on a better catalyst.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. So 2.5 until we get to the close. I don't know if Katrine's going to be ringing the bell. She seems like she's really hard at work behind. Like she's not even listening to me right now. You kind of turn your head there. You ringing the bell, Katrine? Oh, you will? Okay. There's like 2 minutes left. You didn't eat your lunch again. She works too hard, everybody. See, this is the problem. Oh, it's not good? The salad was okay, but we had chicken and rice again for lunch.
Oh, yeah.
It was actually really good, the chicken and rice. The salad was not that good. That's why she had me. I think it's because she's working way too hard. So get a like in there for Katrine as well. She'll be on the bell in about 2 minutes. And hit the subscribe. Tie the catnip to the bell.
What?
Okay, I see what you're doing. Cat, Katrine, catnip.
Okay.
Awful, horrible.
Nvidia's pushing that 465 right now, almost at high of day once again. So what a crazy range this stock has started to develop here. $15 on the day, basically. What's the ATR on NVDA? Just call it up. Why does that not work sometimes? NVDA. There we go. ATR, according to Trade Idea, is now $15 on.
I gotta add
NVIDIA.
ATR to my. That's one I don't have on Trade Ideas. Is ATR. 15 is crazy.
It's
when you
huge.
think about it, but it's also almost a $500 stock.
Yeah, so like you have to think about this when you're structuring trades. You know, you're not looking for a $2 move or a $3 move. You're looking for like a $7 or $8 move on this name, and that means that you can give it $2 of risk if you have the stomach for such a thing.
That's why I
typically don't.
I didn't trade Nvidia today because I didn't see one of those types of setups.
Yeah.
Like I felt like, okay, off the 50 level, it has to break under 52 to be looking for the long off 50, and it never did. So you don't take the long because that's that $2 that you were just talking about. Did it break 65? Nope. I suppose we should have been short 65, but I like the AMD better, so it is what it is. 25 seconds to go. Go EV making a daily doji. We did look at that one. That looks pretty spicy. If it makes that break of 75 cents, which now that I say it, it's probably going to gap above. As we have Katrine on the bell. Thank you very much, Kat. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. But the countdown is on for this Monday. It's been a good one. It only gets better throughout the week as we get big earnings in 5, 4, 3, 2, and ring it. I was a second early on the countdown. A little rusty. I've been off for a week. So yeah, you guys heard me say it. I was like 2-1. I was off a little bit, but it's been a fun one, Max. Shout out to you. Thank you for filling in. As always, my question would be, even though I already know the answer, Brendan.
Yeah.
Where did we finish?
Green for the most part. Here we go. Nice look. Russell 2000 ends up the winner on the day. 1.19 when all is said and done. About a full percent there. 0.93 for the NASDAQ Composite. 0.95 for the 100, 0.38, just 0.22 for the Dow, lagging a little bit, but positive to start after a nice week last week.
Green, right? Like a start to the week. Last week was weird. When I was looking at the charts, I'm like, wow, there were some ridiculous moves. You didn't see any of that today, but you saw plenty of trading opportunities, whether it was Tesla off the bottom, whether it was AMD shorts off 117, ATVI, which is basically printing money pretty much all day long if you took advantage of it. And we were going to be right back here tomorrow. I know Sean enjoyed his golf. He's back on Wednesday. I'm going to get Mad Max as well. I want to give a big shout out to Obi and Platinum Prad for holding down the midday show today. And of course, the entire production team. You guys do a fantastic job. We're always kind of throwing you, Fabian and Marina, under the bus. Like, give me this right now. And then all of a sudden, like 2 days later, we get it. Got some new animations as well. Oh, yeah. I'm excited Prad's coming on to do the after show today. But this is a big week. We're back into earnings season. On Wednesday, you're going to get the after show with Prad, and you're going to have Tesla, and you're going to have Netflix. This is when it gets super exciting. It's always good, but it's just going to be even better as we get these earnings, and especially when the big names start to come in. So we're going to end this one off here. I'm going to be on Friday, but I feel like the big day is going to be Wednesday for this after show coming up.
Welcome to the after party. It is going to be a beautiful week. As all of you know, it's going to be the earnings season, the most wonderful season. Thankfully, we get 4